at this stage, what we know about his stance towards crypto, would Trump be crypto positive?
I think that's pretty clear, and I think it seems that the polls really clearly indicate that he has a very high chance of, winning the election. He has, of course, made several statements. What we know, of course, for sure with him is really that he's about liberalization of really the economy, and this is going to help Bitcoin itself, and it's going to help really the whole Bitcoin companies. I mean, a lot of people forget really that in March last year, when 3 crypto-friendly banks basically went under, that really this really impaired really the crypto on-ramp and off-ramp really, and I think this is really a key factor, and I think this is something that we might not see under him, and there's going to be a more really liberal approach to it, and this is really where Bitcoin is going to thrive. I mean, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. We often see that there's event risk, either negative or positive, when it comes to the crypto space. For example, on the positive side of the ledger, there could be something like an ETF approval. On the negative side of the ledger, we could see, for example, a scandal or maybe a regulatory crackdown. Aside from politics, Marcus, do you see any event risk either on the positive or the negative over the next 6 to 12 months for crypto?
Well, the Bitcoin market itself, it's a very technical driven market. And technical, I mean, really the market structure. There's the funding rates where it really shows if, people increasing leverage. There's also a lot of on-chain data where we see if, for example, old wallets, people that have been buying Bitcoin 10 years ago are suddenly starting to sell. What is really on the horizon in terms of event risk is, for example, that the FTX creditors, the exchange that went under 2 years ago, are probably going to distribute something between like 15 to 16 billion US dollars to those creditors, and they're going to repay this in US dollars. So this is something, a huge amount of money. And, when you just estimate that probably like, let's say 30% or 50% is going to be deployed into the crypto market because, some money is going to move back to, for example, to the VCs or to other investors. But we can probably estimate that something between 5 to 8 billion US dollars might be deployed between sort of like December to January to February. That's when we think the creditors are going to be paid out, and that's going to be a big driver. So I think once we sort of like tackle this election risk, this election uncertainty that we're going through right now, and keeping in mind that September is usually the worst month of the year for Bitcoin, and then October is usually the strongest month. I think the average return in October is something like 22%, with something like 8 or 9 out of the last 10 years positive. So we're coming into this area now where sort of like once we're bottoming out, that suddenly we have more positive risk catalysts, meaning the US election, meaning the FTX creditor payout. So it's actually quite constructive for a year-end rally. Just we need to get through this short-term volatility right now.